This this particular video is pretty very early on, and
Maybe the screen a little bit more towards you.
I'm sorry.
Extreme.
This is physical. I'm not sure. So, see what he did out. Keep talking.
That's good. Thank you.
Okay, so this video is from pretty early on when detainments first started roughly a year ago. I'm just start this off as a primer so you can just have an idea of what it's like daily basis within the hallway. We have sound. Having a couple of technical issues. Pardon me. Yeah.
Stop resisting. Stop resisting. Hey, come the rock. Touch me. Stop resisting. Stop resisting. Hey, come the rock. Touch me. Back. Back. Back up. Stop resisting. Stop resisting. Just give us space. You gotta get back. You can get hit. Just get back. All right, we're gonna agree. Get up there now. Guys, move. Everybody get out of the way. Move. Get out of here. I was still moving, bro. Yeah. Get the ball back.
So as you can see,
And when was that, Dave?
this is in 26 Federal Plaza. Pretty much everything I'm gonna be showing today is gonna be within 26 Federal Plaza. Um, Pretty early on, there was no warning. We would be in the hallway. We would just be standing there. They would not give the people that were about to detain any type of warning. They would just rush over, grab them. No warning. Obviously, the average person will go and they'll get defensive. You have a stranger running out of nowhere with a hoodie's face covered. You know, they're trying to figure out what's going on while they're being detained. So that was pretty much early on. I'm gonna go into the photos now. This is an ICE agent in 190 Broadway, which is the next courthouse over from 26 Federal Plaza. He was hiding within a containment, like a garbage chute area, like a freight elevator area. I made this photo within the with between the crack of the door. He was pretty much setting up to go make detainments that day. This is what you normally see. You see families waiting to go into court and so forth, and you have agents standing around just waiting to make detainments. You never really know who's going to be detained. They can be there with their family, they can be there alone, they can be there with their kids. This gentleman stepped in to go. He was going to court. He stepped out for a moment to go to the restroom. Once he stepped out to go to the restroom, he was immediately detained. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. He had no.
They just pick somebody out of the line.
Yeah. This is from the scene earlier. This was pretty much early on. Like I said, no warning, no heads up. It was just pretty much the Wild West at that point. So it was just grabbing people at random.
And do the folks know that ICE is outside there?
Well, whenever the people are yeah, they'll see ICE as you see in this photo.
Yeah.
ICE is standing in the hallway, just there waiting. The thing is, they don't know if they're the ones that are selected to be picked up that particular day or not. You know, they're coming in. They're people are coming in. The respondents are coming in. They believe they're doing what they need to do. You know, obeying the law, going to court, filing their paperwork, so forth. So they believe they're not the ones that are going to get detained. But then you see people like this gentleman, which he just, like I said, he was there waiting for his hearing to start. He stepped out to go to the restroom. They didn't even allow him to go back into the court. They just detained him there and then. So there was no due process. He never saw the judge.
They know that they're in big trouble right then.
Yeah, once they grab you, you pretty much know, you know. So pretty much once they detain people, they disappear them into the stairwells. And this is one agent. This woman came out of a courtroom, immediately grabbed her, took her to a stairwell. There was other agents to the left, which you can't see. Person being detained.
And there's no negotiation, like I'm a citizen, I have my papers, nothing.
I've seen them stop people that were accompanying family members and they have green cards. Some people were citizens and they go through the entire process. Like, usually the agents have a target list. So they have a stack of sheets, photos, people's names, and they know who they're going to target in particular. But sometimes they would go rogue, and it's just whoever was in the hallway. That's who they grab, you know, and we'll grab them now, sort it out later, type of situation.
And you have access, is it hard to get to where you were with the other photographers, or is that?
No, in that particular area, there was since ICE does not own the building, there's a small loophole because ICE doesn't own the building, DHS doesn't own the building, so they're only renting out the courtrooms, so they can't keep us out of the hallways. And this is the only place in the entire country that that is being documented. So this is one particular hallway, as you can see. This is a courtroom. The door to the left is a courtroom. You have people showing up. They're looking at, you know, checking the docket, see if their name is on the list. You have agents standing outside waiting, you know, because that's what they normally would do. They know, okay, our target isn't going to be in this courtroom today, so we're going to stand outside and wait for them to go in or arrive. People show up with their kids, and you know, kids are kids. they don't want to be in a courtroom, so they'll sit in the hallway and so forth. This particular scene right here is I've said this multiple times. This is one of the hardest scenes I've ever photographed. This gentleman was there with it was him, his wife, and his two daughters. He went to court. As he's walking out, ICE approached them, told them they were going to detain him. His daughter immediately jumped in the middle, started hugging him, and said, "Don't take my daddy. That's my only daddy." And being a father, that is scarred in my memory. So this is the younger daughter. She's completely clueless as to what's going on, that her father is about to be taken away from her. This is another incident. These two ladies were accompanying someone that was going to court. That person was detained. An argument ensued between these two ladies and the ICE agents. They were citizens, so they couldn't pretty much do anything to them. And this lady gave you know, gave her peace of mind to them. She didn't let them off the hook very easy.
And so they detain someone. Is there a place where you go, like, the other family members, like, what's happening to my husband? What's happening to my wife? What do they do? Or are they just left to leave the building?
No, that's it. They don't give them any information. Very rarely they'll give them anything. Once in a while they will tell them, look, we'll try to have them give you a call as soon as possible. Um, Goldman is on 190 Broadway, which is across the street. He's a council member. It turned out to be a lot of the activists take these families over and they help them file habeas corpus and so forth to try to get their family members out. But there's not any resources for the families that are left behind. They're left to fend for themselves.
So the husband's gone, and the mom leaves with two daughters, and
Yeah,
we don't know.
we don't know. One of the I don't have the photo here, but just one of the very last days, because I stopped going a couple of months back. One of the very last days I was there, family came from upstate because they were just trying to go process that they needed to. And as while they were doing so, they arrested the father, the, left the car. They had a car parked in the street. She didn't know how to drive. She had two daughters with her, and you know they went over to Goldman's. I'm not sure what ended up happening after that, but the husband was taken into custody, and this woman that lives upstate, how I still don't know how she got back home, if she ever got back home, what happened with their vehicle.
And if those people don't show up, then the local police, like from upstate, will just arrest those people in their homes.
No, so then what happens is there's a legal reason now to deport them because now they're not following through on their end of the bargain. So it's a double-edged sword. Yeah. This is a journalist that was pushed onto the ground by one of the ICE agents. He fell. He ended up being taken out in ambulance. Pretty sure a lot of you saw this in the news when it happened. Um, there was an incident. A person got detained that was getting put into an elevator. As they were being put into the elevator, another one of the agents got overzealous, ended up pushing him. He ended up falling over, ended up hitting his head pretty hard, and ended up being taken out by ambulance from 26 Federal Plaza. Um, I'm blanking on his name right now. Brad Lander, comptroller. So he was there a lot. He was arrested there also. This is him consoling a family, whose family member was just detained. This woman, she thought she had just came out of court. She had received another court date, and as she's stepping out, she got arrested. She got detained, and it didn't matter that the judge granted her an extension. That she was on their list, so she was taken.
And there's no way from where you're standing to know what happens to each of these people.
No, that once they're taken off from the floor, they're taken to a section where we're not allowed to, where they're detained, they're put in cells, they're being processed and so forth. So we can't, we're not allowed in that area. This was during a protest where a lot of politicians came out. They were protesting. This is on the floor where they actually do the processing, and they were telling everyone to leave. Politicians didn't leave, so they all ended up getting arrested that particular day.
So it's gotten pretty wild as a citizen, as an American, as far as you can be, to witness this in our country.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's not something that I thought I would ever see in this country. As I always believed in due process. I thought, you go in front of a judge, you go through your process, and then once that's determined, then that's the next step. There's no due process. People are just being picked up without even seeing a judge.
And I mean, of course, you recognize the value of documenting this, because otherwise we wouldn't believe it,
Exactly.
right? And it would just go away, like people would just disappear, like a banana republic.
Yeah. You know, people will, we've seen the news cycle. People, you can show people something in their face and they still say it didn't happen. So
Right.
so the only thing you can do as a journalist is bear witness and document it. And as much as somebody can deny it, they can deny it, they can be fooled themselves, but you can't lie about the photos that's there.
And the ICE guys must have sort of a quota, right? They have the list, and we must get half of these people, or reported to these people by the end of the day or the week.
So the sheets, as you can see, he has it in his hand. They would come out with their sheets every day. I'm not sure if I've never heard of a specific quota, like there's a number we must reach or whatever. There's been rumors of that, but I can't say for sure. So
But it's also got to be interesting. A person like yourself, like me, we look like maybe we're not American, we could be Mexican, Dominican, Italian, whatever it is. Like by the luck of the draw, you could be on the other side of that.
oh yeah, definitely. It's like I said, I've seen people that were there keeping their family members company, and they were citizens born and raised here, and they were being surrounded and questioned, and you know, once once you know that you belong there, you approach things a little bit different. So these people are like, cursing them out, telling them screw you, and so forth and so on. But you know, it could definitely that happens because we're citizens and so forth, and we know our rights, but not everybody's afforded that luxury. Um, this particular agent, she used to walk around with this mask that said 100% human. I just had to take a photo of that.
And how long were you down there for?
8 months. Yeah. I was there 5 days a week for 8 months straight.
I mean, a shot like that is just really unbelievable that that's in our country. Right?
Yeah.
These masked men and women.
And you end up spending so much time around these people. You do end up building a rapport with them in a fashion. This guy with the red mask, we just call him Florida man. He's, you know, while he's talking, we found out he's from Florida. He can't give us his name, so we're like, "Oh, it's Florida guy," and then that's the name that stuck, and then that's what we will all call him, and so forth. That this guy on the left, you can't really see his face. Um, they used to call him, like the agents would call him King, because he was known for going above and beyond and making detainments, and I refused to call him that. I would call him Michael because I found out what his name was. So, um, this is once again on the 10th floor. These are people that were detained that were being brought in and to get processed.
And you guys are there because you know what's gonna happen, or you think it's gonna happen, so you're covering it when.
Yeah, well, very early on, it was happening on a daily basis. Towards the end, it was off and on. There would be sometimes we would be there for 4 or 5 days and nothing would happen. But early on, there would be detainments, 20 to 30 detainments per day. So this particular agent, he by his own accord, he said that he hated this part of the job. He said he never signed up for this. He's a supervisor, and as you could tell, he was not happy to be in the hallway. This is the way he was trying to deal with it and cope with it. Uh, this person here, he was that's his baby on the bottom end. That's his wife. All these people grabbing him up. Those are ICE agents. Um, ICE agents aren't supposed to go into the waiting room. We're not supposed to go into the waiting rooms either. But ICE agents ran into the waiting room to make the detainment. I jumped in there too. I was like, I'll figure it out later. um, he was detained while I was making this photo. The baby, the stroller's tipping over, so I'm holding the stroller with one hand and shooting with another. um, he ended up, he was a political refugee from Morocco. He was from a particular tribe that's was being ostracized and so forth, and he ended up being processed, and I'm not sure what ended up happening with him after that.
So it takes a real camaraderie for these ICE agents to share with you, like, I don't like doing that. I don't like doing this. This job stinks, you know. How long does it take to build that sort of trust or rapport with them that they're sharing?
So they were on 4 week rotations. So every 4 weeks there was a new batch of agents coming in, and it was a constant building that rapport again. And once they were gone, and there was a constant rotation for 8 months. Um, you go in there every day. You're spending 8 hours a day with them for a month. It just happens, yeah. Um, yeah, like this guy. Just to give you a little bit of a backstory on him. His wife, he said he used to be a police officer. He met his wife because she was he was undercover. She got caught up in some weed stuff, some drug stuff. Ended up meeting her, ended up building a relationship, ended up marrying her, he has kids with her, and now he's an ICE agent, and yeah.
With his list in hand.
Yep. His list in hand, and that woman that's looking out the side, that was actually his target that day. Yep. And as you see, there's agents further down because each of these doors is a different courtroom. So there's agents down there waiting for other people. He was waiting for her.
So you can't get into the room where they're getting their interviews.
No. Writers can go in. No cameras are allowed. So,
Does anyone just stay in the room, try and stay in the other agents out there?
there has been a couple of instances. There's been a couple of people that were successful and waited them out successfully, but that was very far in between. Um,
And what makes the agent leave? Just the day is over?
Sometimes it would be constraints of they made too many detainments, they don't have enough room to hold anybody anymore. So because in the beginning they used to just keep grabbing people, but then one of the advocacy groups found out that they were overcrowding the rooms. So they put in for a restraining order. So that put a cap into the amount of people that they can keep in there at a certain amount of for a certain amount of time. So then they really cut down on the numbers of people that they detained. This right here is this little girl crying. The farthest to the right, you can't see him in the photo. It was a situation. ICE agents came. It was him, his wife, the two kids. They got surrounded. They were like, "Yeah, this is the guy we're gonna detain." Um, Mistaken identity. It wasn't even him. And they went and they traumatized his entire family. And so they did the facial recognition. He pulled out his phone. And it's like, oh no, it's not him. Okay, sorry. Yeah. Um, this this is Michael once again, the agent that I was talking about earlier. He he did not like he he really hated press. He really hated press a lot, and this particular person, she's more of an activist journalist, if we'll call him that. And she was recording. He didn't like it, so he got in her face, started recording her. This guy had no clue he was about to be detained. He was walking out the courtroom, briefly snatched up, taken away. This particular agent, she's a dream. She's she's allowed to. Sorry about that. She was standing right beside the door, looking for her target, as they call them. That's why she has her sheet in her hand, and she's really one of the most unpleasant people to be around. Yeah. So,
There's a mouse on the right. There's a mouse by your right.
uh, so it's not on my laptop. Why? Okay, there you go.
The littlest one is the most ferocious.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, little funny story. When this detainment was happening, there's one attorney that's been there on a regular basis called Ben, and his name is Ben, and he's been there on a regular basis. He's been helping these families and so forth, and she cannot stand the sight of Ben. Like she would call him man bun. She would call him names and so forth. When this detainment started happening, she was the supervisor, and things went crazy. She turns around and she tells Ben, "Help!" And to this day, that's still one of the funniest things, though. Because she acts like she's a really big bully, and once things got crazy, she turned around to the person that she disliked the most.
When you take some of those shots and you see, because there's like 3 or 4 shots where you could really see the fear especially like the shot before this one, you see the fear in that guy's face, right? I mean, do you see that the moment you're taking the shot, or do you see that when you go through your edit in the evening? I mean, you knew you had something, but I mean, like that shot and a very, very early other shot, you just see the terror in these poor people's eyes.
Sometimes it's a mix of both. Sometimes you can anticipate it. Sometimes you don't know. Like this guy didn't know we didn't know he was going to get detained because they don't, they block their sheets, their target sheets. So we don't know who's going to get detained. In this particular courtroom, this judge wouldn't let anybody leave. They would let everybody leave as a group. So then it became a melee because now the agents are running, grabbing their targets as they're coming out, and everybody's coming out at the same time. So you really don't know who's about to get detained and so forth. You just kind of pick your corner, and try to anticipate what's about to happen.
So that was the judges trying to help them in their own little way.
I'm not sure if it was helping or if that's just the way they worked. There were certain judges that were a little bit more lenient towards and more compassionate to the respondents, and they all got fired. Yeah. So I guess I'm not sure exactly what they were looking for, if they were looking for amount of detainments or what. But yeah, there was a bunch of judges that got fired. And I am gonna close off with one video.
No, ven, no me cojan así. No me cojan así, por favor. No, ven. Venga, ¿yo qué? ¿Qué pasó? Venga, no me cojan así. Ya, no me cojan así, por favor. No me cojan así. ¿Por qué me cogen así, por favor? Pues no he hecho nada. Ven, no me cojan así. Venga, no me cojan así. Ya va a caminar. No me cojan así. Ya. Sí, espérate. No, pues no me cojan así, yo. Camine. Yo pongo de mi parte. Por favor. O sea, así yo pongo de mi parte. Es una entrevista normal. Sí. Okay. No me cojan así que yo no he hecho nada ya. Señor. Tranquilo, a lo mejor te dejan ir ahorita. Dame agua, por favor. No, pues ahí abajo. Yo no he hecho nada. ¿De dónde eres, compa? ¿Dónde eres? De Colombia. Okay. Ya nací. Pásale, por favor.
That was pretty much calm detainment, as far as it didn't get physical to the sense where they tackled him to the ground and and tossed him on the floor and so forth. But that gentleman was he was detained, he was taken, and then about an hour later, we had already press had already left. One of the security guards that I got built a relationship with, he told me the following day, his family came up looking for him the next day. After we left, they were trying to find out where he was at, and that's how the family found out that he was detained once they came in because he was hadn't come out. Yeah, and that concludes my presentation.
Emotionally attached to this. Life changing experience for everyone.
Oh, definitely. I said I had initially said in the beginning to be very, very, very. I guess as survival instincts, you kind of you don't get good, but you learn to compartmentalize it, and you just kind of move on. And, try to deal with it. And I'm not gonna say I haven't. Like I said, the little girl, that's one that's forever ever stay with me. When that particular moment happened, not Erica was there, Peter was there. Um, there was a dry eye in that whole. I'm talking about season of photojournalists, people that have been to war zones and so on, and not a single person was not in there not crying. And I've mentioned it to friends, or like I know this is going to come back some type of way down the line. I'm gonna need some type of therapy. Uh, not I've woken up in a couple of nights, you know, because I've dreaming about ice. So is some type of trauma there, definitely. I'm just not sure how it's going to manifest itself just yet. So yeah.
While you were there, like, do you have any interaction with courtroom, like employees, like senators, like what would they be saying to you? And like, I was also curious, like, those are close quarters. Being there for like 8 months, a day for all that time, like, how were you able to deal with that? Like, that must be really.
Definitely. So to answer your first question, the staff people that work there, so some hated us, and I had my fair share of interns with both sides. Some were pleasant, some were not. But I was there to do a job and work and just finish through. As far as dealing with it, like I mentioned before, I'm not sure how it's going to manifest itself just yet. I'm pretty sure it will manifest itself in some type of way down the line.